Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are going to be creating a birthday card using these roses dies and these spotty dotty kind of background stamps. So there's several kind of dots on here. There's kind of really large dots, these medium dots, and then kind of small dots. I'm going to start off using these sort of medium dots, and I did have a play around with several different types. And here you can see I just wasn't sure whether I wanted to do it vertical or on an angle, and I did decide just on a bit of an angle because I'm not going to cover the whole background. I'm just going to do three kind of stripes of them. This is the bubblegum pink Ranger ink. It's a dye ink, and so I'm stamping off once because I just want a really light dots in my background. So I know that you can hardly see it on camera, but yeah, it's just a really kind of nice light pattern in the background. And I do end up cutting out some of that footage, sorry, because I stick my head right in the way so that I can line up the dots perfectly. So yeah, anyway, I line them up and stamp it 3 times in the end. Now I have these rose dies here, and you can see that I've cut out these in sort of a deep red color, and this is just the outside, the outline. And then what you do is this die that I'm holding in my hand now is cuts out sort of all the inner pieces, and then you can use that outside die to cut around it, if that makes sense. So you could easily do a really nice die cut inlay with these roses. But that's not quite what I chose for today. So I cut out the inside and then I added the outside one to it and cut it out of the paper. And then I just cut some individual outside outline roses too. So what I decided to do is just stick these kind of, these ones here onto a base layer, and it just gave it a little more definition. I was going to do something glittery or sparkly behind it, but I decided that I just wanted to keep it somewhat plain. So I'm just using a little bit of the matte medium. This one is from Ranger, and it is in a little precision tip bottle from AliExpress. And I will put the links to everything from AliExpress in the description box below. So the background stamp is from AliExpress, and these little rose dies are too, and that precision tip bottle is as well. So just putting on a little bit of glue, and it's not too bad with this matte medium. If it squishes out the side, it does dry matte. It dries really clear, and you can't see that it's there. It doesn't dry shiny at all, so it doesn't matter too much if it does squeeze out a little bit. So now I'm just doing the same with some sort of lighter pink roses, and I think I created 2 of those and then 3 of the dark red ones. I'm just using some Distress Oxide inks on a scrap piece of paper. I've got some Twisted Citron up the top and peeled paint down the bottom. And out of this I'm going to cut some leaves. This is from a die set from AliExpress, and I'll see if I can link it below too. And so I'm just drying it a little bit before I run it through my Cuttlebug with the leaf dies. There's 2 leaves that come in the set, so I end up running this through maybe 3 times, I think. So I end up getting 6 or so leaves, I think. Anyway, this kind of ends up embossing the veins of the leaves into them, which is cool too. That looks good. And then I'm just going to create the sentiment, and I have some of that same red cardstock and some of the pink cardstock that I use for the flowers. And both of these pieces of cardstock have some stick-it adhesive on the back, which is just sort of like really thin, paper thin, double-sided adhesive. So I'm going to layer these 2 sentiments up to kind of create a shadow effect with the 2 different colors. And the colors, of course, match the roses, so that'll be good. I'm just picking them off the release paper, and they are pretty delicate. In a minute, I'm going to give you a nice close-up of how I did this. I kind of used my reverse tweezers to place them exactly where I want, because you can see that the letters kind of move around quite a bit. So I've stuck them down just sort of temporarily to my desktop, and then I pretty much have to individually move each little part of the letters to make sure that the light pink is slightly to the left of the red colour on top. And the sentiment is all joined up, but you are able to maneuver it around quite well. With this stick-it adhesive, until it's pressed down really hard and really solid, that's when it becomes permanent. So until then, there's a little bit of play and you're able to pick it up a couple of times. The stick-it adhesive is from, I think I purchased this one from Simon Says Stamp. Now I'm just going to trim up my background piece a little bit, just so that it creates a small 1/8 of an inch border around my card front onto my card base. And my card base is 110 Nina Solar White, and the card front that I've used is 80 Nina Solar White. So now I'm just getting everything together. I wasn't 100% sure how it's going together, but I'm not good at this, so I just kind of give it my best shot and tend to try not to worry about it too much. So I've put the 3 red ones down the bottom, and I kind of want to layer them up so that some are sitting sort of in front and some are a little bit behind. So I'm going to stick most of the red ones down just with some plain double-sided adhesive, and they will be stuck down flat to the card front. So you can see I'm only putting a little bit of adhesive behind. I'm trying not to cover the whole back of the flower, because I know that I will be tucking in some of those pink ones and some of the leaves. So I want to make sure that there's room that I can tuck things in behind and around them, just like I've tucked that wee pink one there in behind. So I can never decide. I sort of just end up eventually having to just stick it down and then do the best that I can. But anyhow, so I'm using some foam squares. These are also from AliExpress, and they are brilliant. They're fine. And again, I will try and link them below. And you can just see I'm putting a couple up the top of them, and again, not covering the entire back with the adhesive, because again, I want to keep playing around with the arrangement of them. So one in over there, and then toward the end I end up putting some sort of squirting some matte medium glue, some liquid glue behind the flowers, so that I know that they are really secure on the page. So I don't like those little 2 white gaps that are on the card front in particular, and I didn't make any more roses, so I cut off the edges of the ones that were hanging off the edge, and I'm just going to do a little bit of trickery and kind of add this on as though it were another rose that I had made, and that just covers up sort of some of the you know, the blank space that's sitting there. And I just want to cover up that big gap there too, because I don't like the white shining through on this little bunch of flowers. So just adding some wet glue behind it and putting it in. It doesn't really, I just kind of tuck it under and make sure it's sitting up against the edge, and then cut anything that is hanging off. So from here I'm just going to pop the sentiment on, and it's just going to sit up in that sort of top right hand corner where there's a little bit of blank space. And as I said, it already has some stick-it adhesive on the back, so once I push it down hard it will be adhered permanently. From here, I wasn't super happy with the leaves when I came to put them in, and I thought they just didn't have enough sort of contrast between the 2 colours that I used. So I do actually go back and add some Mowed Lawn. This is just the distressing. I don't have the oxide obviously in it, so I just use the Mowed Lawn to add a little bit sort of better contrast between the Twisted Citron up the top. I just didn't feel like the peeled paint kind of was the right kind of green that I was after. So I just add a little bit more down the bottom to all of the leaves. I did lose a little bit of footage when I came to put the leaves in, so in a second you'll see that I put all the leaves in, and just I used a little tiny foam square to pop up the ends of the leaf off the card. so that they just gave it a little bit more dimension. Then I'm using some foam tape, this lovely wide foam tape, which is from AliExpress. This stuff is super sticky, and I have done a review of it on my channel if you'd like to check it out. Take off the release paper and then add it onto the front of my card. And that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all the kind comments, and I will see you next time in the next card. Thanks. See you later. Bye.